Hi, soul friend. It is so good to sit with you again. Your aspirations actualize when you act. Most people are living in reverse. They are doing everything in their power to get it right, get their ducks in a row before they start the project or step into their dream, their goal, their business. But people are dying, literally dying and going to their grave without ever having made the thing that they wanted to exist. Why I say that we're doing it wrong and in reverse is because we first have to make it exist and then we can make it good and refined and polished. But so many of us are not starting things or not finishing things because we are just stuck in this idea that things have to look a certain way. And most of us actually think we have a competence problem, but in reality, it's actually a confidence problem. And we are signing up for courses or buying a lot of unnecessary equipment or tools to help feel ready when we'll never feel that safety of readiness. And what we really need to do is just to start messy. And so today, this episode, we're going to dive into that, how to tell if you have a competence problem or a confidence problem, and then I'll give you 5 tactical things you can do to help diagnose yourself and also like how you can move past that stuckness. But first things first, welcome back to Monsoon Season. I am your host, Aisha. I'm a meditation teacher and a writer, and everything about Monsoon Season is about culture, consciousness, and the courage it takes to be seen. And we know here that the most spiritual, the most sacred, the most yummy, the most sexy thing about us is our vulnerability. Please take a moment to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I also wanted to mention that I write a really juicy newsletter every single week over on Substack. And I'm also hosting free guided meditations weekly there as well. So if you want to just get deeper into the community and be in each other's orbits, please drop your email for the newsletter and I'll link the Substack in the description box. And if you're new or you're a returning listener, make sure you leave a comment letting me know where you're listening in from and one takeaway from this episode. Let's get into it. Listen, my mission is to serve good-hearted people and remind you that good people win. I want you to get out of your way and follow your dreams so that you can use your unique gift to serve humanity. And this problem of competence versus confidence is a chronic problem that I see over and over again. And I'm getting so sick of it, and I want to help people realize and gain awareness of when they're actually moving from that place of fear and having a confidence problem so that they can start their business, their creation, their project without constantly getting stuck. The thing I want to bring to your attention is that when you misdiagnose a problem, it is causing more suffering than you realize. And what I mean by this is just think about any ailment, right? So I'll use myself an example. Recently, I've been struggling with a lot of dermatitis on my face, specifically my mouth and chin area. I went to 5 dermatology appointments where they kept telling me that the problem was X thing, and they prescribed the right prescription or medication for this problem X, right? So for 5-6 months, I've been treating the skin with the prescription that they diagnosed me for. And it hasn't healed. If anything, it's gotten worse and more painful, and just it's caused more suffering in the last couple of months. And then I realized I actually had Y problem, and I had to diagnose myself. And then once I diagnosed the problem accurately, like the healing happened in like 2-3 days. My skin started to clear up. I felt so much more confident. I felt so much better, and I was just not in so much pain. And so I say all this to say the cost of not diagnosing ourselves properly when it comes to confidence versus competence is time. We are going to be suffering for way longer if we think that I need to sign up for this class, I need this certification, I need these specific things to line up before I can start, versus the confidence thing, which is I'm just scared and I'm living in fear and I need to start and do it scared. When we're misdiagnosing that, it is going to take days, months, years to get back on track and course correct. So it's not any different than misdiagnosing some sort of ailment that you're experiencing. The suffering that you have when you're treating the wrong thing is the same, and it just shaves off so much time that we know is so precious in our life. You keep thinking that you need to heal first, that you need to get in shape first, that you need to work on your voice, or you need to work on your self-belief, but you keep consuming things thinking that it's going to make you feel ready. But here's the thing, knowledge doesn't make us feel ready. Trial and error and throwing ourselves into the deep end is what gets us ready. All right, I'm getting worked up, but I'm trying to stay calm because this is such a passionate topic for me as someone who has dealt with this and misdiagnosed myself so many times as someone who has a competence problem, but in reality, it was just my lack of self-belief and confidence in myself that has stopped me from doing things. This is like piping hot passion for me because I've lived in that shadow for so long. So thanks for staying with me, and I just want to let you know that's why I'm feeling a little spicy, feeling a little sassy about this specific episode. So here's a more grounded example. A past coaching client came to me and said that they wanted to start a podcast. And my question to them was simple. Why haven't you started the podcast? And I spent a few hours with that person hearing them talk for almost 2.5 hours about everything that they needed to do before they could start recording a podcast. And it was the same stuff I had told myself years before, like maybe 5 years ago when I had this seed and this idea of wanting to start monsoon season and start my own podcast. They told me they needed to get the right microphone. They had just moved to a new house and things were a mess. They didn't have the right setup or the right table or the right lighting. Their house didn't get the natural light that they wanted for a good quality video, that there's just a lot of other things going on in their life, and that their job is really exhausting and they don't have the energy to really create a podcast. And the list went on and on and on. These are all very valid reasons, but what I want to push back on is if you are serious about wanting to start a podcast, for example, or a business, these things that your mind starts to list off are actually just resistance A, resistance B, resistance C, resistance D, all the way down to resistance Z. These are all forms of resistance and fear. And what's crazy is our mind thinks that we need to take the master class on podcasting. We need to find the perfect thumbnail, the perfect name, which I got stuck on so many times because I'm someone who cares so much about language and words that the title of getting the perfect title, it's kept me up at night. And getting the right cover art for the podcast and looking at what other podcasters were doing. And it was just excruciating, the amount of games my mind played with me in telling me and informing me and communicating to my brain that I was incompetent and I couldn't start a podcast until I had all these things down. When what was actually happening, if I look under the hood, is I was afraid. The crazy thing was I was comparing myself to Jay Shetty or Mel Robbins or these podcasters that have huge amounts of experience, of resources, of money, of, network and privilege and all these different things. Like, because somehow my mind believed that I had to create the first podcast episode that I ever created had to be world class and had to be amazing and had to just break the internet in some ways. And I don't think all of us think this way, but I just wanted to share that as an underbelly layer of what I was experiencing. But for most of us, we're just constantly tricking ourselves into thinking that we need more information, more knowledge in order to be good at something. When the reality is if you want to start a podcast, let's just keep going with that example. If you want to start a podcast, the only thing you need is a phone. And that is it. That is the only thing you need in terms of being able to produce a podcast. And all you need is a message that you want to share. So a phone and a message and your voice. That is literally the three things that you need in order to start a podcast. And once you get that first episode out, you get intel, you get information and data from that action that helps influence and feed what you will do next. There's research that shows that most podcasts only podcast until episode 12, I believe. I might even be overstating that. It might be less than that, but most people will record 12 episodes and they'll quit. The fact is that most podcasts have failed even before they started because people are too afraid to even start and to just get over that initial first step and hump. So again, what I'm trying to bring awareness to is that fear is so slippery, like a damn eel, shape-shifting and constantly working its way through your mind in different moments, trying to trick you into thinking that you are not ready. You don't have enough information. And it will dress up in different costumes and it will look like, hey, you need more training to do this. Or once you get the training, you'll feel more confident. But I just need to call you out on your bullshit. Everything you're doing is just avoidance. The real question that I want you to ask yourself, am I willing to be seen not knowing what I'm doing? That is the thing that hurts the most. It is the perception of putting ourselves out vulnerably when we haven't figured it out yet. But the irony of all of this is we don't figure it out until we take the first step, until we take the 10th step and the 12th step and the 10,000th step. We figure it out as we go. One of my all-time favorite quotes by Rumi that really encapsulates this idea is, as you start to walk the way appears. As you start to walk the way appears. But we are trying to have full certainty of the path and the way. We want all of the juicy insights of the way without actually the gumption and the audacity that it takes to start. So I want to offer you 5 tactical things that you can look into so that you can diagnose yourself correctly. Are you having a competence problem or a confidence problem, and how to move through it? So the first one is look at where you are stopping. What I mean by that is, are you stopping right before the action of doing the thing or after you actually try? So, for example, if we're going down this podcasting example, if you start podcasting and you realize, okay, you filmed a couple of episodes or you recorded a few episodes and you're like, wow, this sound quality is really bad, or I need to work on storytelling. Then you have intel and data that is telling you that it's a competence problem. Maybe then you can sign up for a storytelling class, or maybe taking a master class on narratives and like how to craft a great engaging episode. But if you're stopping even before you start, that is a key red flag that you are actually just scared and not going. You're just scared and you're not moving forward out of fear. Another really beautiful self-assessment is something you could do I recommend either through self meditation and doing a meditation in complete silence and doing some analysis, and I'll break it down for you here. Or you can also, if you're not someone who wants to explore it through meditation, you could do this through journaling. But essentially just during self-reflection time. And really start to think about the thing that you're trying to achieve and ask yourself, what story is coming up? Is it I'm not good enough story? Or is it a story around I actually have no fucking clue what I'm doing? So the story is the most important thing. And you don't want to force this. Your subconscious mind will be able to pinpoint exactly which story it is. And maybe if it is, you can't even hear the difference between both, it's just maybe not the time to start. Maybe you need more time to really clear the clutter in your mind and really settle your mind before you make the decision. But if this is something that you are certain you want to do and you want to pursue, then stillness and writing and journaling is going to help you access that internal story that your mind is telling you. And what's really interesting is when it's the I'm not good enough story, it is an emotional feeling, right? There's emotion tied to it. And when it's I don't know what I'm doing, I need to learn some skills, then it is not emotional, it is coming from the head. So it's just such an interesting thing, because when we are scared to start, we think that it's all emotional, but it's not. Like a competence thing, there's a sterile quality about it. There's something where it's just like, okay, I need X, Y, and Z to kind of really be able to figure this out, versus when it's a worthiness issue, when it's a lack of self-belief or a fear that's coming from the inside, that is going to really ache in your heart. It's going to feel different in the body. So when you're sitting in meditation or you're journaling about it, just notice when you're identifying the story, where the pain or where the physical sensations are coming from. Are they coming from your head or from your heart? And what are the qualities of that pain? If there's this achingness that's happening or anxiety that's starting to come up, it is most likely the self-belief. Another simple thing that we can look at is truly ask yourself as honestly and as vulnerably as possible if more information would actually help. If watching one more tutorial or taking one more course or getting certified or watching how someone else is doing it is actually benefiting and serving you in any way, or if it's truly just a distraction. Number 4, to discern between if you have a competence problem or a confidence problem, is how you receive feedback from people. So if you ask someone for feedback and they're like, oh my God, this is amazing, I love this episode that you're doing, and you are immediate to dismiss it and just be like, oh my God, no, I'm terrible. This, don't listen or anything. That is clearly a confidence problem. But if someone gives you a piece of feedback and you're just like, yeah, I totally hear you, but I actually need to learn how to do this thing. I don't know how to do X, Y, and Z, then it's definitely a competence problem. And the last thing number 5, is the hardest of all 5. And I'm going to hold your hand when I say this. Try to do it badly on purpose. Start messy and just go into the mess and completely own it, because as you step in, you're going to get more information that tells you if this is even a path that you really want to pursue. If you are feeling anxiety because you have a fear of judgment and of what other people think of you taking up space or you sharing your story or your gifts with the world, more information is all you really need, but you have to start messy. And the mess will tell you the truth. There is no way you can theorize what it's going to feel like or what inner stories or inner blocks that will come up as you do it. But staying in limbo and staying on the sidelines for the rest of your life is not an option, anymore. And listen, I am the queen of collecting certifications. I did yoga teacher training 2 times, not once, 2 times, 2 years back to back. I did 200 hours of yoga teacher training and I self-sabotaged the week right before graduating. I just didn't think I was good enough to be a yoga teacher, and I completely self-sabotaged and just felt so incompetent and so like I'm not ready to teach people, like it's too big of a thing. And I came back the next year and did the exact same training with new people, felt so much shame about it, and spent another 200 hours realizing that I have the information. It is there. But what I didn't have was the belief in myself, the confidence in myself to know that I was worthy to teach, and that to be in the seat of a teacher requires a certain heart and a certain confidence that no certification can ever give you. It has to come from within, and it has to come from really, truly loving and accepting ourselves and knowing that we have a gift that is undeniable. I share all this to say that I don't want you waiting on the sidelines. Stop waiting and making lists of all the things that you need to do. Stop asking ChatGPT all the steps that you need to take before you take that leap. Leap and the net will arrive. The net will catch you. Trust and surrender to the process, and know that that information that you get is part of the journey. It's not supposed to be smooth and perfect. Life has never guaranteed any of that. But what this life is an adventure, to take risks, to go after the things that we want to create and that we want to manifest in the world, as long as it's rooted in a true place in our hearts, and as long as we know that if we come from that place, we will always win. We will always win. Serve humanity with your gift, with goodness. I wish you all the luck. And if there's any questions that come up about this episode, drop it in the comments and I will get back to every single one. I love you. You got this. I'll see you on the next one.